Dear students, I am to you all. Welcome to this session on market equilibrium. This is the last video under this topic. Let us discuss the shift in demand when there is free entry and exit. Also, the price ceiling and the price floor. This is the application side of demand supply analysis in the real world. When we say free entry and exit, what we mean? We know it implies that under all circumstances, equilibrium price will be exactly equal to the minimum AC. That is what it implies. Free entry and exit implies at equilibrium price always minimum AC will be equal when there is free entry and exit. Therefore, in that situation when there is free entry and exit, if market demand may shift either rightward or leftward, but at new equilibrium, the quantity supplied will be always at the same price. Whether due to rightward shift of demand, quantity may increase, or due to the leftward shift of the demand, quantity may decrease, but both the quantity will be supplied at the same price when there is free entry and exit. This is the concept we are going to discuss throughout this video. Therefore, you can further understand following the discussion. Therefore, impact of rightward shift we are going to discuss in this slide. The demand curve shift rightward. You know this is the price line. We are discussing this topic under perfect competitive market. You all know the price line under perfect competitive frame is always parallel to x-axis, and also this is the situation where when there is free entry and exit, equilibrium price is always equal to minimum AC. Now we will see the demand curve DD0 intersects at the point E. Therefore, price line get cut by this demand curve at this point E. Therefore, the corresponding quantity Q0, because this is the equilibrium price, this is the demand intersect this price line at this point. Therefore, this point is considered as equilibrium point. The quantity Q0 is referred to as quantity demanded and supplied at the equilibrium price P0. Now we consider the rightward shift of the demand curve. That is now the after shift, the demand curve is referred to as DD1, and we all discussed this concept of shift in demand under the situation of fixed number of firms. The same way here also, when the demand curve shift rightward, automatically we know the demand increases. When demand increases at the same price, you have to compare as we have compared at the case of fixed firms. Here in the same price, what will happen when the demand shift rightward, demand increases? When demand increases, what will happen? There will be a shortage situation at this initial price. Then what will happen when there is a shortage? The price will increase. When the price increase, what will happen after shift? The profit also will increase. But this is the case where firms can enter freely or exit. Therefore, due to the increase in price, due to the earning of supernormal profit, after the rightward shift, what will happen? New firms will enter into the market. When the new firms enter into the market, what will happen? The supernormal profit will be wiped out. Again, the firms will start to earn the normal profit at the same price P0 minimum AC. Therefore, it is equal to minimum AC. Therefore, now after the entering of the new firms, finally again it reaches the initial price P0. At this initial price again, but you can notice the supply have increased because of the entering of the new firms, because of the rightward shift. There was a shortage. Due to shortage, price increased because some consumers, dissatisfied consumers, increased the price because of the shortage. Due to increase in price, profit increased to supernormal profit. Therefore, due to supernormal profit, new firms entered. When after entering of the new firm, supply increased. Due to increase in supply, again price declined, and the supernormal profit eventually wiped out. Again, they earned at this equilibrium normal profit at the price P0, but the quantity increased because of the entering of the new firms. Therefore, now new quantity is Q1 at new equilibrium is at F, and new price is P0. We will discuss on the subsequent slide. Here, the initial equilibrium at point E, where you know the situation is P0 is, I have explained, minimum AC, equilibrium price P0, and the total quantity at equilibrium was Q0. But the situation at equilibrium, at the initial equilibrium, number of firms also N0 we have to define. Why we have to define number of firms at equilibrium? The reason is this case is free entry and exit. The firms can enter freely and exit freely. Therefore, we have to define what is the equilibrium number of firms at equilibrium. That at initial equilibrium E we define as N0. And we will see after shift what happens to the equilibrium number of firms. With the rightward shift, as we have discussed in our diagram DD1, equilibrium quantity increases to Q1. I have explained to you with the help of diagram. You can go back and refer. Equilibrium price remain unchanged. At that also we have seen P0 remain unchanged because the supernormal profit eventually will be wiped out, and at last firms will earn normal profit. And P0, at P0 there will be excess demand after the shift. Therefore, some dissatisfied consumers, what they will do willing to pay higher prices for the commodity. Therefore, price tends to rise. Because of that, what will happen? That supernormal profit, because of the increased price, as I already explained, no supernormal profit, new firms will be attracted. After new firms attracted, what will happen? The supernormal profit will be wiped out, and again price will reach the initial price P0. And now at initial price, what will happen? The quantity, high quantity will be supplied at the same price P0 because demand curve shifted rightward. And you can notice now after the shift, rightward shift here, the new equilibrium is F. At new equilibrium F, the same diagram I brought here to explain further, the new demand DD1 intersects P0 minimum AC line at point F. That's what we say, it is a new equilibrium point. And at new equilibrium point, you can say the quantity is Q1 and the price is P0. Price didn't change. At new equilibrium, price remains same P0 only, but only quantity has increased. But you can see about the quantity, it increased, it is greater than initial quantity Q0. And the new equilibrium number of firms, what you can say about the new equilibrium number of firms, it is N1. But you can say the number of firms N1 is greater than N0. As you all know, because of the rightward shift of the demand curve, new firms attracted because of the supernormal profit. Therefore, at this point, there are many firms compared to initial stage. There are a number of firms at new equilibrium N1 is greater than the number of firms at Q0 quantity at the equilibrium point E. Therefore, number of firms N1 is greater than N0 because of the entry of new firms due to the shift of rightward shift of the demand curve. And now we are going to discuss leftward shift in demand curve and its impact on equilibrium when there is free entry and exit. As you all know, this is the demand curve DD0. It intersects the price is equal to minimum AC line at E. Therefore, this is the equilibrium point. At initial equilibrium, the quantity Q0. Now we are going to discuss the leftward shift of the demand curve. Now DD is 2. Now we put as a DD2 new demand curve. After shift DD2 at the point equilibrium is G, new equilibrium point after shift, and the quantity is Q2. You can see clearly quantity has declined because of the leftward shift. We can discuss these things. Initially demand curve was DD0, you have noticed, and equilibrium price was quantity was Q0, the price was equilibrium at equilibrium P0, and leftward, due to the leftward shift, the demand curve moved to DD2 and the equilibrium quantity decreases to Q2. That also it is explained in the diagram. Now, but you can notice the equilibrium price didn't change. It remains at P0 only, initial price. And due to leftward shift of the demand curve to DD2, there will be excess supply at P0. Yes, we have discussed even with the fixed number of firms, we have discussed the demand shift. When there is a leftward shift, what will happen? Demand decrease. That situation will called as excess supply at the initial price P0. Due to this excess supply at P0, what will happen? Some producers or firm owners will not be able to sell their desired quantity at the initial price P0. Therefore, what they will do? They will reduce their price less than P0 initial price. Therefore, what will happen? There will be a loss, because when the price decrease, profit also decrease. That is, therefore, what will happen? Some firms will exit the market because of the loss, because of the decline in P0, because of the lower price. Therefore, what will happen? You can explain here, because this shifted leftward demand curve. Therefore, what will happen? Because of the shift, there will be loss, because of the shift. Excessive supply situation arises. Due to excess supply situation arises, some producers reduce the price to sell, dispose the items. When they reduce the price, profit declines. When the profit declines, some firms, because this is a situation of free entry and exit, some firms will exit. And decrease in number of firms, because of the firms exit, the firms number decrease. When the number of firms decrease, what will happen? Naturally, supply will decrease. Again, when the supply decrease, the existing firms will increase, the price will move back, because the supply decrease. Again, the excess demand situation arise, price will increase back to the normal price. Again, they will reach P0. Therefore, at new equilibrium, now at point G, because some firms have exited the exit market, therefore new at G, at point G, the supply will be less, because compared to the initial supply, because of the leaving of the firms from the market, because some firms left the market, therefore number of firms decreased. When the number of firms decrease, the supply amount also decreases. Now you can also notice the number of firms also will be less, because the firms have left the market. Therefore, the equilibrium number of firms now N2 will be less than the initial number of firms at initial equilibrium N0, because of the exit of the existing firm. Firms have left. Leaving mean exit of the existing firms. So now few firms are exist at this new equilibrium price. And but you can notice, only due to the leftward shift, quantity has declined, but price at the same level. But you can conclude from this, even the rightward shift, either rightward or leftward, rightward shift quantity increases, leftward shift quantity decreases, but the price remains the same when there is free entry and exit. This is the conclusion we can make. And also, when the rightward shift is there, number of firms increase because of the supernormal profit. When there is a leftward shift, number of firms decreases because of the exit or the leaving of the firms from the market because of the loss. And therefore, we can conclude, due to shift in demand rightwards, what will happen? Quantity also increase, number of firms also increase. And due to leftward shift, what will happen? Quantity and the number of firms both will decrease. Therefore, what the conclusion is, with free entry and exit, shift in demand has a larger effect on quantity, do not have any effect on price is concerned, equilibrium price is concerned. This is unlike the fixed number of firms. In the fixed number of firms, when there is an excess demand, price will increase. There is an excess supply, price will decrease. But here, both the excess supply and excess demand situation will be managed in such a way that all the firms will earn all the time normal profit. Therefore, price will not change because of the entry and the exit of the firms. Now we will see application side of the supply demand analysis. So far we have discussed shift in supply, shift in demand. But this application of shift in supply and shift in demand is going to be taken in the real situation of the world. Here, when there is a government always intervene in the prices of the market, because in order to facilitate both the producers and the consumers, when there is a government intervention in the form of a price control within the framework of perfect competition, because we are studying under the perfect competitive situation, it becomes necessary for the government to regulate the prices. When there is a high price for the essential items like wheat and rice, what will happen? Government intervene to protect the poor consumers. in the form of price controls by regulating the prices of the goods and services when their prices are either too high or too low as far as producers are concerned in comparison to the desired levels that we will discuss further. Therefore, two price control measures are there by the government. One is price ceiling and the other one is price floor. These two concepts we are going to discuss in detail separately. Price ceiling. What do you mean by price ceiling? As shown in your textbook, price ceiling in the sense rise in the price of the essential items. Rising high price, rice, wheat, sugar, milk, all the items will be very high. In that case, what will happen? Poor consumers or the poorer section of the low income people cannot be able to afford these essential items for their basic livelihood. In that case, what will happen? Government will intervene. Government will intervene and government set apply the price control measures called is price ceiling. Therefore, we will see what is price ceiling. Price ceiling in the sense the government imposed upper limit. Government will set an upper limit on the price of good or service is called price ceiling. Therefore, nobody can set above that government fixed price. Therefore, thereby government protects the consumers. Example, necessary items, wheat, rice, kerosene and sugar. These items, if the price is very high, poor people will suffer. To protect the poor consumers, government apply the upper limit. Always this upper limit is below the market determined price, because you can see in this diagram, this is the demand and this is the supply curve. This is the equilibrium price P star and the Q star. This P star determined by market forces, because the demand and supply are the market forces. In the market, due to the interaction between the demand and supply, the so-called market forces, equilibrium is automatically determined. That equilibrium is E. At market determined equilibrium, price is P star by the market forces and the quantity is Q star. But what the government is going to do is, this P star is very high for the consumers. Therefore, government is going to set the price below the market determined price, that is PC, this is control price or price ceiling price. At this price, you can notice that this is the supply and this is the demand level. What you can say, the quantity demand at this price control price is very high and supplied by the firms at this price is low. Therefore, what is the situation is, we have studied this situation is nothing but excess demand. Therefore, what you can notice is price ceiling is fixed below the market demand price. That is very important to notice, because price ceiling always be fixed below the market determined price. Some section of the population will not be able to afford these goods at the market determined price, because market determined price is very high. Therefore, government intervenes and set the maximum price at this price ceiling price. It's always less than the market determined price. Therefore, it facilitates the poor consumers to purchase necessary items like wheat and rice and all. Therefore, the equilibrium price and quantity P star and Q star respectively, the government imposes price ceiling at PC. This is the price ceiling imposed by the government, price of the government at the it is lower than the equilibrium level. You have understood from the diagram, and therefore there will be excess demand. You all know what is excess demand. We have studied under fixed number of firms. Here the excess demand is the extent is denoted by Q1C, QC. That distance explains the excess demand for wheat market at that price PC. Therefore, we are getting an example as a wheat market. In this wheat market, at this price P0, excess demand arises. It is denoted by this distance Q1C, QC. And the demand QC kilogram, if the QC kilogram is the demand for wheat by the consumers, but firms are supplying only Q1C kilograms. Therefore, demand is greater than supply. That is, the situation is called as excess demand. Therefore, what will happen? Because the Q1C, in our diagram you can see quantity of wheat supplied is Q1C at the price control price. Therefore, demand is QC is very much larger quantities demanded. Therefore, how to distribute? Because even though government with good intention applied or implemented this price ceiling program, but after price ceiling, there is a shortage or excess demand arises. How they will handle the situation by the government? They will introduce system of rationing. Through rationing, what will happen? Certain amount of wheat will be sold to everybody through the ration shops. No, nobody can purchase more than this ration amount through the fair price shops. Thereby, they make sure everybody will get at least a little amount of wheat. What will happen? The accompanying adverse effect with the price ceiling. Price ceiling will be accompanied with the adverse effects. Some consequences of price ceilings are long queues will be in the ration shops because everybody will be waiting in a long queue to get the item. And also creation of black market. Why black market is created? Some consumers they will be not be able to get their enough commodity through this ration system. Therefore, what they will do, they will tend to pay more price. Therefore, the black market situation will be created. Now we will go to the price floor. This is the another control measures of the government. The government imposed lower limit on the price. This is always regarding agricultural products. This price floor is to protect producers because the middlemen or brokers they always purchase the agricultural products at a very low price. Therefore, what government says is government plays here the main role by setting a lower limit and preventing the middlemen and other brokers to not to lower the price so too low. Therefore, the example for the price floor is agricultural price support programs and the minimum wage legislation. Minimum wage legislation also, the company owners or the employers will exploit the wage laborers. Therefore, there also government set a minimum wage. Below that minimum wage, nobody can reduce their wage. Thereby, they protect the labor force also. Therefore, what we mean by government price imposed to price floor is lower limit on the purchase price for some of the agricultural goods. Therefore, nobody can lower other than this set limit by the government. Thereby, producers are protected. And also, we can see this diagram. It explains the price flow, the demand curve, and the supply curve. This is the market forces. Market forces determines the price as P star, equilibrium price, and the market determined the quantity, equilibrium quantity E. The market determined the equilibrium at E and price. But what will happen now? Government fixes the price the more than the equilibrium price. This is the fixed PF price floor fixed by the government. It's always above the equilibrium price. We have seen price ceiling always below the equilibrium price set market determined equilibrium price. Here price floor is always determined above the market determined equilibrium price. Why? This is the minimum price for the agricultural products anybody can pay, not less than this fixed PF. Therefore, what will happen at this PF? There is a problem arises, you all know. This is the situation we studied, excess supply. That is a consequent because of this fixed price by the government. But what will happen? Government will protect that also by purchasing this extra surplus themselves. Therefore, price floor is normally set at a level higher than the market determined price that you can notice from this diagram. Market determined P star, government fixed is PF, fixed price. The market equilibrium is at P star, Q star, market equilibrium. But imposition of price floor, imposition means setting by the government, imposition of price floor at PF, it gives an excess supply situation because price is more, therefore firm supplies more. Therefore, what happens? The excess supply situation arises. These are all we have discussed in our previous lessons. And thereby, what will happen now? At floor price PF, market demand is QF. You can see, notice the same diagram again I brought here. What is the market demand at PF? QF. because this is the demand curve. At PF, what is the market supply is Q dash F. But the firms want to supply Q dash F, that is the market supply Q dash F. Therefore, excess supply is how much? QF Q dash, this distance. This distance will give us the excess supply QF Q dash F. And to prevent price from falling, what will happen? Government needs to buy surplus at the predetermined price. This at this PF price only, government will take care of this surplus by buying themselves this amount by the government itself, thereby preventing the price fall below the PF, because government only determine this PF price. Therefore, whatever the excess supply comes, government will purchase and they will keep it with them. Therefore, thereby the price falling from PF back to P star is prevented. This is the assignment questions. All the questions are discussed in this video. Please finish the assignment. Thank you. Sai Ram to you all.